I'm Law. I got also in the panel today, I got DDP. If you guys don't know who DDP is from now, man, I want you guys to tune into this show and you will find out and realize that is Diamond Dallas Prospect in the house live, lit 100%. And let me tell you guys too as well, I have my brother from another mother, no other, don't look like Danny Glover, but keep it cool for us, really cool for us. Big Game James. He in the house too as well. He gonna put the thunder down there for you guys. We're gonna have a lot of topics. But as we get things going in the right direction, I really appreciate everybody, man. But just stay tuned and keep in tune too as well. Let us get this thing going. I know I got the red background. It's not sharp. It's not nice right now. But guess what? Who cares?
Exactly.
You guys are listening to nothing. And I mean nothing but the best. What's up, man? Let's get this thing going, baby. Big game, man. What's on your mind, man? What's on your mental?
I mean, it's a lot of things on my mental. Number one, that we just had a good signing this past weekend, a bad past week. It looked real bleak for us. A lot of people were frustrated. I know I was one of them. I can't lie. I was frustrated because I didn't know what was going to happen, what we really going to do. And I do like the clean sweep that we came in. We got Cameron Fleming. We got the Marcus Martin. We also got Joe Thomas, which I thought mostly was for depth, but he could surprise. Deontay Thompson, speed. I don't know where he's really going to work because he is on a one-year deal. But the biggest guys was the Allen Hurns signing. Because honestly, when I heard he came in from the snowstorm and then he left without a contract and he was going to the Jets as far as a visit, I but all thought he was gone because they just had more money to offer. But to find out that he came back for more, playing time, and because he loves the Cowboys, wanted to play for the Star, and he wasn't about the money, and that's really big. I got to give a shout out to the Cowboys front office because I've been bashing them for not a long time, but recently for being a little bit cheap or not getting the guys in. But that Allen Hurns sign was huge because we needed a solid number two right now, and we still know what's going to happen to Dez, but to get a good receiver who's been proven in these last 4 years, that's a good coup for the Cowboys.
10-4, man. That's what's it, man. DDP, man. Salute, brother.
What up?
Yeah, so tell me what's on your mind, man, with this Allen Hurns situation.
Man, I'm actually pretty psyched about it. I think he's a solid number two. I think he complements Dez very well. I don't think he's a Dez replacement. And I do know that Dallas is still open to taking a receiver in the draft, particularly in the first couple rounds, if they feel the right guy is there. If that happens, then that does raise questions about Dez. But for right now, all indications are Dez is pretty safe, I would say. Yeah, I think Hurns is exactly the kind of number two receiver you need. He can work inside the slot a little bit, and he can work on the outside. I actually think he's better on the outside, but Jacksonville used him out of the slot about 73% of the time last year, I read. So it'll be interesting. I like having a dynamic player.
Yeah, it's going to be nice having him out there, a sure hand catcher. Now, he's not going to take the top off the defense, but we already know for sure that my guy TWill broke his foot. Now, when you break your foot like that, he's going to be out 4 to 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
That's not 4 to 6 weeks, guys. That's 4 to 6 months. They exiled the actual Hakeem Hicks or Nix, whatever his last name is, for the Giants. And remember, Julio Jones, and we saw what happened with Dez Bryant. And we know the physical situation of Terrence Williams. He's not physical as strong and brute as the guys we just mentioned. And he's not a polished, pretty much a player like these guys we just mentioned too as well. So is this the end calling of TWill? Let me know, Big Game James. What would you think?
Well, I would say, he just signed his contract, but that doesn't mean anything. It's just kind of weird how he breaks his foot right now. Isn't that just kind of weird that they sign these players and he happens to break his foot? I could foresee it could be because at the end of the day, I've already said it before. I said it last year mid-season that I was saying Cole Beasley just because they had just re-signed Terrence Williams. I didn't think they would trade him that quickly. But now you got Allen Hurns in the fold, and then, like I said, Deontay Thompson, and then you still had KD Cannon on the squad as well, who's a speedster. You still got Noah Brown, Ryan Switzer's there, so somebody's got to go. So if you're looking at production-wise, you have to look at Beasley or Terrence Williams as trade commodities because nobody's really going after some Noah Brown, anything like that. They're definitely not going to get rid of Ryan Switzer, and they just got those other guys. So it only means that those other two guys will be on the bubble. I feel like probably Beasley gives you more than Terrence Williams. That's the only reason why I had said go dangle Beasley, because I feel like you can get more commodity from a Beasley because he can do more than, to me, Terrence Williams. I tried to believe in Williams last year, but the best thing he was doing was blocking. He still got the alligator arms. He does a slant pattern. He jumps in the air. Like, if you throw a slant pattern, you're not supposed to jump in the air. You're supposed to catch the slant and go. He always is jumping up in the air when he catches the ball. And it's just like, what value does Terrence Williams add to the Dallas Cowboys besides blocking? Somebody needs to tell me.
DDP, man, what's on your mental?
At this point, it's hard to argue that Terrence Williams brings much to the table compared to the other receivers. I don't know what his guaranteed money we're looking at right now is. Like, if he was the odd man out, how much Dallas would have to pay for that for this season, like what it would count in terms of dead money. But I know they have guaranteed money even to Deontay Thompson. I think he's like $1.5 million in guaranteed money, so it's not end of the world. But I still don't like giving a guy guaranteed money if you're only planning to use him for a camp body. So I feel like Deontay Thompson is probably the vision for him is to be the Bryce Butler replacement. But then you get Allen Hurns as well, and that kind of supplants Terrence Williams, I think. So I think there's more value in Beasley, whether it would be in a trade sense or just if you were to keep him. Just in the immediate picture of this year, I think Beasley will give you more than you could get out of TWill just because of kind of the uniqueness to his game and what he can bring. So at that point, I think I agree that Terrence Williams feels like the odd man out, especially now with the broken foot.
Yes, indeed. But the thing is, Dallas Cowboys, we coddle our players, and we do know that this was the New England Patriots. He probably been gone yesterday. Yeah. The thing is, with this whole thing, when the whole entire thing, he's going to go pretty much on injury reserve. And I don't know if it's going to be designated to return or injury reserve for the whole entire year. We just don't know, But my thing is, if he's going to be injury reserve designated to return, I think it's 8 to 9 games, something like that.
Yeah, minimum first 8 games. If it's like designated, I believe they designate those first 8 games. You can come off there afterwards. But as I said before, Terrence Williams had his chance when Dez Bryant got hurt 2015. They were wanting to see if somebody else would step up and if he could step into that mantle, and he just basically proved he couldn't. And he hasn't even been a solid number 2. Decent numbers, but not a solid number 2. Like if you say Allen Hurns, if you're saying a solid number 2, where you're saying somebody who's going to get that ball and make those big catches, you say Allen Hurns is going to do that. Rather, when we seen Terrence Williams being our number 2, did you ever really have confidence Terrence Williams was going to make a big catch? Because he never showed up in big games.
I feel you 1,000%. And the thing is, too, as well, I'm always like, I try to be a cerebral guy, right? I try to think beyond the fray. And I try to look at what they brought in. They brought in Christian Kirk. They had him playing on the outside. This is just for this pro day, what have you, workouts. And they had Dallas Cowboys scouts out there. And the thing is, what they wanted to see from Christian Kirk, can he catch the ball out of the backfield, right? Can he catch out on the outside? And then they put him in punt formation, punt returns and kick returns, as the Dallas Cowboys scouts was looking at him. And my thing is, those speaks volumes of what Cole Beasley does. Because from what I can see, Cole Beasley do punt returns, right? And he do kickoff returns occasionally. So my thing is this: now, if you try to put him on your draft board or what have you, whatever it may be, what they're looking at him for, then that spells that you're trying to get rid of Beasley opposed to a TWill. And my thing is too as well, the draft and not just the draft, but the receivers that we have on our court now, nobody outside of Deontay Thompson, who really we haven't really just seen play in our scheme yet, nobody scares us of taking the top off the defense. Nobody. And that's not even Ryan Switz, because they don't know how to utilize them yet. What are your thoughts, DDP?
Yeah, I think they definitely have to find a way to get Switzer more, utilize him more within the offense. That was one thing that really frustrated me last year. Was I know it took him a little while to find his stride, but aside from the one I believe it was a punt return he ran back, not a kickoff. Aside from that, in the Philadelphia game at Dallas, you never really got a chance to see what he did. They kept trying to force the jet sweep, and that's nice, but that was like the Lucky Whitehead play, and teams saw it, half a dozen times at least the year before. And so with him being the replacement for Whitehead, it wasn't that shocking to see them run that with him. I wanted to see them actually use him a little bit in the slot, try and use him a little bit like Dallas uses Cole Beasley. So that's what I want to see from him. I want to see him step up for sure in this coming season.
Yes, indeed. So, Big Game, what's your last thoughts on this, man, before we move on to the next topic?
Basically, I just feel like the whole receiving core got to step up. I definitely want to see more Ryan Switzer this year. He has to play, and he has to play a lot. Cole Beasley, I never thought he was a great punt returner. I never know he's going to catch one on kick return. I feel like Beasley don't want that contact. He ain't about that life on as far as some punt returns, because I remember when he used to get them punt returns, he didn't want to get hit. So when I see a Christian Kirk and they're working him out, this is what I see. If we were to we already brought in Calvin Ridley. If I were to see us draft Calvin Ridley, let's say if he was available and Calvin Ridley was there, then I'm going to say that's Dez Bryant's replacement. When I see Christian Kirk, then just like you say, I think they may be going toward maybe looking at Beasley, because Christian Kirk to me is not a number one. He's more of a gadget type receiver. Even when you watched him at Texas A&M. He wasn't like a number one guy. He was more of a speed guy, throw it deep, throw it over slant, and he was doing a lot of kick and punt returns. So if he's doing that, then that signals that he's more of a gadget guy and not a number one. And then you would look at, like you said, Beasley probably maybe being shopped around to see what's happening. And people got to let that thing go. Beasley is nasty. I'm not saying Beasley ain't nasty. He is nice one-on-one. He's the truth. But at the end of the day, he is 29. He does have commodity, and we can't keep coddling players. And if you can get value for him before he gets over the age that where you can really need him, then you should do it.
Yes, indeed. So with that being said, man, we can go on and on and on about this, and we can really break down the bracket coverage and all this, but we would probably bring that up towards the latter part of the show. But DDP, man, what's the next topic on it?
Let's see. Next up, we can either talk a little bit about some of the other free agents, or we can kind of shift gears. Do we want to talk at all about why Allen Hurns chose number 17 for his jersey?
Oh yeah, we can definitely talk about that. That's some good stuff, what he did. I mean, I'll jump right into it. I already started talking, so I apologize.
No, go for it, man.
I just happened to see it recently, as of yesterday, and it was for the 17 victims that just got shot. It was in the Florida shooting.
Parkland, yeah.
And I mean, to me, I'm not gonna lie. When I seen him get 17, the only thing I thought of 17 was Sam Hurd and the bad things that came from Sam Hurd lately. So to see him bring that to light makes me not think of the Sam Hurd number, makes me think of good things. And hopefully, because he's wearing it for that cause, it'll bring good things as far as his production. Because if you really just look at Allen Hurns, the dude is a sincere kid. When you watch him play, if you heard about the coaches that were saying things about Hurns, was that he plays hard, he plays through injuries, he's a team player, and then this is just one more big thing where he represents that he's about the community and about people as well when you're wearing something like this for dedication like that.
Yes, indeed, man. That's some deep stuff, man. Anytime somebody do something and they take away, that's humility with dignity. When you take away what you really want to wear and you do it for a cause, that's everything. Because we never know what he really, really wanted to wear. But by him doing that speak volumes. I think that the whiz that we got, the knowledge that we have out here, my guy DDP, can you break down all of the Dallas Cowboys players that wore number 17?
Yeah, just off the top of my head, most recently we had Dwayne Harris. He went on to New York. Before that, the aforementioned Sam Hurd. Jason Garrett was 17. Quincy Carter. Don Meredith is another one. I think those are the only ones that come to mind right now. If anyone in the chat, I guess, thinks of it, toss it out there. I'll give you a shout if you think of someone I've forgotten. I'm sure there's more.
Oh, they said Quincy Carter.
Quincy Carter.
I had Quincy. I had him on my
list.
list.
You had him on the list? Okay.
Yeah.
So they wrong.
Quincy.
Hey, man.
Yeah, they ran. Don't be trying to check my DDP now.
Yeah, don't try to check DDP.
Don't be trying to check. You know what I'm talking about now. Easy. DDP. I better back up on my guy before he jump off the top turnbuckle. But
yo, it's me.
Yes, indeed.
It's D.
All right, what's the next topic, fam? What's going on?
Let's see. Next, do we want to talk about the possibility of moving up in the draft versus moving back? There's some discussion about Dallas's current thinkings, and there's been speculation about whether they would trade up for a guy or if they would just trade back altogether to gain an extra draft pick. If they're looking receiver, for instance, I think they feel like there's probably a lot more number 2 receivers in this draft than there are really number 1 guys.
Well, let me just start off by saying this right now. I despise the NFL new hitting rule because now it got me thinking. It got me in a trance of thinking like, my guy, Darren Trinidad James, will he be formidable in this defense now since they got the little two-hand touch rule and this sort of thing? Because I'm all down for moving up and getting the defensive player that you want, because let's just be honest with ourselves. 10 picks in this draft, not all 10 of these guys are going to be starters. We're looking for real talk. We're looking at probably 1 or 2 starters out of the 10 picks, basically. So what I'm saying is we don't want 2012 again. We want to move up and get a guy, a dog. We've been preaching dogs, hogs, rhinos. We've been talking about some animals for the past 2 what? How long has it been going? Big game.
Last month we've been talking about we need dogs. We don't need them. We don't need them fringe players. We don't need guys that can possibly help us or maybe can help us or he can come in on 3rd downs. No, we don't need that type of player. We need dogs. We need animals that can come in and say, hey, this is our team. Guess what? You playing against us, we're going to smack you in the mouth. And that's the type of players we need to draft. We don't need to draft no players that might be developmental or they might be like last year. Taco, 1st round, even though he was at the end of the draft, he should have played more. We wasted a 1st round pick, not saying on the player, but you wasted a 1st round pick if you never played him. You get a 1st round pick, he needs to play a lot, all the time. And you need to get dogs because, man, when you look at our defense, okay, we got good players, but we don't got some dogs. Now, Jordan Lewis and those guys can form, but if you put an animal right in between those guys that are just starting to formulate and not get their wits about themselves, that's when you get a good defense that turns great.
And that's why, and you speaking the truth, and this is why the only thing I have my reservations on even getting Darren James now. This new NFL penalty rule, meaning that this guy can't be the beast that he is. And now we know for sure that the Dallas Cowboys, the referees, do not swallow their whistle. They do not hold back the flag. I'm talking about they got biceps by the size of Hercules out here because they throwing the flag so much. My problem is if you go out and get a Darren James now, will it be Flag City? Just go ahead now. If it's the 19th pick, go and give me Vita Vea now. Hell, at least I know that he can get to the quarterback. He'd be up front on the line, and we want to worry about him getting 15,000 flags out there every play.
It's not even a matter of flags. It's being ejected from the game.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
My bad. DDP, go ahead and break down the new
rule for me. That rule, crazy rule.
Yeah, so from what I gather, the new rule is basically if you lead with your helmet, which means this is going to almost exclusively target defensive players. If you lead with your helmet, even if it's incidental, it's automatic ejection from the game. So if you put your head down, to whether you're trying to even if you're trying to put your head in the guy's chest, if he braces in a way that you go helmet to helmet and your head's down, you're going to get ejected from the game. Like, doesn't matter if it's incidental or not. I think it's the NFL trying to be overly cautious and overcorrect, if you will, with regard to
that's when you get the injuries.
Yeah, exactly.
That's when you get the injuries.
Yep.
I didn't mean to cut you off, DDP, but anytime I've ever played any kind of sports and watched any kind of sports, when we play cautious, when you play not to get injured, when you play not to get injured, you get injured.
Yeah.
When you do play reckless and when you just play with no thought and you just play with reckless abandon, you don't get hurt. It's just kind of like if you're driving. If you're driving and you're worried about an accident, you're going to crash.
Yeah, Yeah, I think there's something to that. If you're overly concerned about it, or if you're focused more on it, it's more likely to happen than if you just relax, if you're tense. So
now, is this rule is it subjective? You can't challenge the rule, right?
No,
it's
man,
kind of like a touch foul in basketball.
Yeah, it's not subjective. And here's the thing. For me, if they were going to do this, what would have made sense to do would be if they had a little bit of a judgment call in there as well. Just like you have face mask. You have a 15-yard face mask for an intentional, or you have a 5-yard, or I guess maybe instead of intentional, I should say excessive, or you have a 5-yard if it's incidental, like if you grasp and let go, that's 5-yard. I think same thing might have been a better application here. I don't know. Maybe it's tough to tell intent in that regard, and maybe that scenario I was talking about works better for the rule they actually didn't apply, which would have been the pass interference following in college football's setup, where instead of being a spot foul, it was a 15-yard flag. So maybe in that case, the judgment call works better than in the case of the lowering the helmet thing. But it almost exclusively affects the defense, though, because other than DeMarco Murray, have you seen an offensive player get flagged for that? DeMarco put his head down into like an Eagles defender's chest one time, and every other time I've seen it, it's been defense. Sorry, James.
Trent Richardson. Yeah. Trent Richardson did it to Kurt Coleman.
There you go.
He did it to Kurt Coleman when he was with the Eagles. He did it one time, and they brought that up because he smacked Kurt Coleman's helmet off his face when he left the crown of his helmet. So they were talking about, well, should they do it on the offensive end as well? The biggest problem to me that I get bothered by this rule, it just makes it easier for the refs. Seems like they got the easiest job in the game. Like, oh, it looked like he did it, so you're ejected. How easy does that make you as a ref that it looked like you was going to do it, so you automatically ejected? There's no subjection to it, and that's what I don't like. It makes it a lot more easier for the refs to say, oh, that's just what it is, because come on. You're playing football, man. You don't think you're never going to lead with your helmet? If you see somebody with the ball and he's headed to the sidelines and you want to jar that ball, you're not thinking, I got to hit this guy right here in the middle of his chest right before I hit him. No, you think as soon as you see him catch that ball, I'm going to lay him out. You're not thinking about where do I have to hit him or anything like that. And that's what's messing up the game. Players can no longer play naturally. They have to think. They have to think before they hit you. And it's hard to really play the game when you're catching. You have to stop and think for a second when it's boom, boom, boom. It's not thinking boom, boom, boom. And it's hard for you to sit there and move your head up and down and make that perfect hit when somebody's coming at you at a fast speed and you're coming at them downhill.
Yes, and then kids out here. Now I'm just talking to the kids that play football, and I just want to help you guys out as a responsible adult. You want to see your target. You want to hit head up. But in times when you're in the game, a lot of this stuff is instinctive. A lot of times the running back will lower his helmet, and we always teach low man wins the game. And I'm only going to say this to those who are out there who are inspired to play football. You want to hit. You want to see your target when you hit. You want to explode. But the thing is, with the NFL now, with the fines and the ejectable deal, it just may be one of those things where technique will work, but at the same time, it's one of those things happen, and then when you start ejecting players, it can change the whole tone of the game. Yeah, it can change the whole tone of the game. It's different between intent. It's different between what's that guy that played for the Cincinnati Bengals? What's that guy named? Burfict. It's different between a Burfict and I don't know if you guys watched the I think it was the semifinal, whatever it was. Barry Church laid a hit on somebody with Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah. Barry Church laid a hit on Gronk, I believe. Was it Gronk?
And he got ejected.
He got ejected or fined or whatever.
Fined, I think.
But that was perfect. Coach would tell you to hit this guy. You don't want to let him. You don't want to let him just catch the ball across the middle, especially when he's 6'8".
I mean, this is what I don't understand, and I get it because, like I said, I coached, and so I coached 15 years, and the main thing we always told our kids: keep your head up. Keep your head up. We always tell drills to keep your head up because, heck, my son is 16, about to be 17 years old, and he plays football. He's been playing it his whole life. And you don't think when I go out there on that field every time I'm not worried about a neck injury or anything like that. So, yes, that stuff is real. But at the same time, you're signing up for this. This is a violent game, one of the most violent games out there. For you to sit there and try to regulate it, it's very hard to do, and it's such a violent sport. I mean, this is one of the most violent sports out there. So it's hard to sit there and tell somebody how you know their intent when they hit somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You're ejecting them, but you don't know the intent. But at the end of the day, their intent is to knock him out because this is football.
It's
When they go
football,
across
man.
the middle, they're telling you better smack him and knock him out and get him out the game. It's not trying to hurt the player or try to take his career. But guess what? He ain't in the game. We got a better chance to win. And that's what's being said. And if people think that that's not being said, y'all crazy.
Right. And then so many people, and that's why I always say don't be a stats muncher. Think about this, guys. A wide receiver now can get away with pretty much everything. But remember, in the 90s, man, you can pretty much hand check down the field. You can really pretty much feel and put your body onto the opposition all the way down the field. But nowadays, at the 5 yards, you really can't just do. You really got to play a perfect sound technique, and that's hard, man. That's hard, and then especially when you have your safety just covering in the middle of the field, and he's not able to hit nobody. Because they talking about he's a defenseless receiver. You gotta let him catch the ball and turn upfield. That's a lot of pressure in your mind. It's too much to think. It's too much thinking out there. And I want to say this because I play DB. You know, I don't like the aspect for you to just sit there and say, okay, I gotta let the receiver catch and turn and move up and make a football move before I can tackle him. That's just crazy to me. Now I understand CTE is a major issue, but look. If I'm in the NFL, yeah, go ahead. You go ahead because I just really can't. I can't stand this. I want to see football.
I get the CTE and the head trauma and all that, but at the end of the day, you know what? You signed up for this. You signed up for this. Like nobody was saying CTE. Now, I hope people understand what I'm saying. I'm not being inconsiderate or to any of the players that went through that. I'm not. But when you sign those contracts. You weren't thinking of the headaches or the head injuries. You got the contract and you got that money. You knew ahead of time what was going to happen to you. You're taking the risk. You're signing up for the risk. And it's kind of hard for you to kind of go back against something when you're signing up for a risk that says that, hey, any given play, your career could be over.
Right. And it's equivalent to me saying, okay, we all know that people work off season, or I got a classmate of mine make $160,000 a year working off season or overseas, I'm going to say on the oil rigs. He can't just say, okay, by me working off season or oil rigs, I have anxieties and I can't be on dry land and stuff like that, and I want to sue the oil rigs for them not having me on dry land drilling for oil. No, you signed up to be on that boat. They're paying you $160,000 a year. Of course, when you come home, your whole house might be rearranged because the wife probably changed a lot of things out. But you 6 to 7 months out there out there in shore. But you can't sue the oil rigs for saying, okay, well, you know, I supposed to be at home developing with my child or having relations with my wife. It's just sometimes you would take risk in order to make things happen for your family. But when they cut you that check for $160,000 a year, hey, you sitting to yourself saying, okay, with this, I may not do it for 20 years, but hey, I might do this career for 10 or 15 years. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But it pays you the money. That's why all I'm saying. And that's what the NFL players got to understand. If you want to play for the National Football League, there's a greater chance for you to get CTE. And yes, the NFL is doing research and stuff like that. But when you start changing the temperament of the game, it's just not fun to visit no more. And, you know, that's all I have to say. Risk versus reward. That's what somebody said. Shout out to Fred Woods in the chat box.
Mm-hmm. I feel you on that one. I mean,
DDP, man, we could roll to the next topic, man. But I can just go on and on for days about this. Hey, if you want to make money, sometimes the more money that you make, the more risk it's going to be.
Gotcha. All right, let's roll into what makes a Dak-friendly offense. And through that scope, basically, do the recent additions you think help contribute to a Dak-friendly offense? So Allen Hurns, Deontay Thompson at wide receiver, Jameis Olawale, is that how you say his name? Fullback, Obviously, Joe Thomas being a linebacker doesn't matter, but then you got the two offensive guard, or you got the guard and Marcus Martin, and you have Cameron Fleming at right tackle as well, possibly swing tackle. Do you think that all helps contribute to having a Dak-friendly offense in 2018?
I'm gonna let you go, Big Game.
I think it does because if you're looking at the way, I mean, just a fullback, I don't know his name, Alawaze, whatever the hell his name is. If I messed you up and your name up, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. But your name is hard. If you look at the way Keith Smith was formed and the way he was shaped, I like Keith Smith. He was a great blocker, great addition. But if you look at what we got from the Raiders, he looks like he's more versatile. You can throw the ball out to the backfield. It looks like we want to be able to throw the ball out the backfield to the fullback. Throw more quick screen passes. I think me and you were talking about at DDP where you're talking about the run pass options and the Dak likes to dump it off. And they want to be able to have guys that can catch the ball and do stuff after yards after catch. And I think that's what makes the Dak-friendly offense is where you can get a bunch of guys that can do a bunch of things, because if you looked at the Cowboys and the way we're structured, we love versatility. We love guys that can play different positions, and it's hurt quite a few players, in my opinion, being too versatile. But I think that's where it comes, that Dak-friendly offense is they want guys that can able to do multiple things, but they want guys like, if you have a fullback, they don't want him to be the classic fullback. They want him to be a guy that can get out there quick, and where Dak can use not just 1, 2, 3. They want to give him 4 or 5 options every time if he goes back to pass.
Yeah, Dak's 2 longest completions of his career both came on screen passes to Zeke. 83 and 70 yards, I believe, are his 2 longest. So it is good to have something. That's something they didn't have last year, was kind of, other than Zeke, of course, a guy that you could kind of dump the ball off to and still get something big out of that. You didn't have a receiving back, really. They didn't have like a Lance Dunbar type third down back. And while Olawale is a fullback, I still think it's a guy who, because he was converted from tight end from his days at University of North Texas here in Denton, I think that he can fill that role very well for them. I think he's got. I don't think he's going to be a guy that's, other than maybe a change up in the goal line situation, I don't think he's a guy you're going to see taking a lot of handoffs. I think he's going to be asked to block and be a guy who can kind of leak out a little bit and, catch the ball.
Just surprise you.
Yep, exactly. And I like that. I like it because it adds a little bit of an unknown dimension to the offense for what is a painfully simplistic offense.
The best thing for Dak Prescott, and it's painfully to say this, is to get rid of Jason Witten. I love Jason Witten, but if you think about it, if you look at every young quarterback,
you're going to hell, Law.
I know, man. With gasoline draws, man. How you gonna get rid of the pillar of pillar of the community? But
I said it. Go ahead, you say it.
But the thing is, if Rico gathers, if somebody can vertically take the ball off the field, we was talking about earlier the Dez Bryant issues and what Allen Hurns can bring to the team and things of that nature, right?
Yeah.
The problem is that when you're talking about bracket coverage, and I know a lot of people pretty don't understand what bracket coverage, because they're looking at the film and they saying, okay, it's Dez one-on-one, but it's really the safety over the top, cheating down over to the side. And really, the best thing for Dak Prescott, a young quarterback, the same thing for Tony Romo. Everybody like to say, well, Tony Romo did this and that. But really, look back at film and tape. Tony Romo utilized the hell out of Jason Witten. And that was young Jason Witten. Jason Witten was his safety valve. And if by now, if Jason Witten, as old as he is, he can only run limited routes. We always preach on about how many limited routes that Dez Bryant can run. But nobody in the Mecca, nobody on the ESPNs of the world, the First Take and everything else outside of Shannon Sharp, nobody talks about the limited routes that Jason Witten can run. And the fact is the same. If you have a Rico Gather, somebody who can take the ball vertically up the field. If you have a maybe one of the young guys out there, I don't know who we can get out there in the draft. I haven't really dived into anybody outside of Allen Hurns and the guy from Oklahoma. If you can get somebody that can take the field vertically, I'm talking about that would that would remove some of the bracket coverage guys. That would have somebody that say, okay, when you got Dez Bryant double team or disguise double team, now you have to worry about this offensive tackle. I mean, this tight end running the ball up the seam, inline routes up the seam. That would release a whole lot of pressure. And then on top of that, if I add in a Ezekiel Elliott, and maybe the Cowboys are already thinking about this with the signing of Jameis Olawale. I don't know for sure how they're going to work this thing into the mix. I may be wrong, but the best thing for Dak Prescott would be is a guy that can just release some of the pressure from Dez, because Dez is an underneath guy. He's one of those guys you can get the ball out, dig routes, slants. You can get him out, get him the ball underneath, and maybe you can work some guys over the top. TWill was known back in the days of catching. Now I'm talking about back in the days when Tony Romo was there, of stretching the field at least vertically a little bit when he had his 4.3 speed, but we saw that dissipated this year. But that's all the time I have on that. DDP, man, what's your thoughts on it?
So what bugs me is that Jason Witten continues to lead the NFL in snaps among tight ends. And his production, in spite of that, is still the middle of the line as far as output, yards, touchdowns, all of that. We're talking about a 35-year-old tight end who creates no separation, has pretty much zero yak, yards after catch. And
right,
yeah.
Hold on, I gotta laugh on it.
Yeah, man.
It was 1 point. I think it was 1.8.
Yeah, man. It is
It's
painful.
me.
And yet he's leading the league as far as tight ends in average snaps per game, and it's because they won't take him off the field because because
he's Jason Witten.
Yeah.
He reverence him like God.
Yeah, he has too much reverence that they're afraid to
Don't say nothing
insult
to
him to ask him to come off the field.
DDP, before
Yo.
you get before you get more further and more deep into this, think about this, guys. If you go back and look at Carson Wentz stats, and you look at how many times who his best friend was, and you guys gonna find on that depth chart, you're gonna find a tight end. But keep going.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it this way, I said his stats are middle of the line, right? But he's leading the league among among tight ends in the NFL as far as snaps. So what happens if you do scale back his production? What happens to his snaps? What happens at that point to his stats? Right now he's middle of the line. Does he drop into somewhere in the 20 to 27, let's say, range? Like, at what point do we continue to give this guy significant playing time, even as much as he's slowed down? I think that it's something where it's like hanging on for dear life, and they're just afraid to take him off because they revere him too much. They think it's like an insult to suggest that he not be on the field all the time, but as a result, it's stunting any development from any of the other tight ends. It's why we haven't seen anything step forward for a guy like James Hanna or Jeff Swaim. It's why Rico struggles to get out there, even with regard to like practice or training camp sometimes. So it drives me insane because I'm like, I get it. He is a Cowboy legend, legitimately, but at the same time, it's detrimental to the offense and to the team as a whole.
It is, man. And
So how come?
hate to say it.
My thing is they do that for Witten, but how come they didn't do that for DeMarcus Ware? They ain't put him in no reverence. They just cut his ass. You know what I'm saying? They just cut his ass. You know what I'm saying? Hey, here it is. Oh, you don't want this? Bye. But they ain't do that for. They ain't do that to Ware or some other athletes. It's like I always feel like you got a.
I think that comes down in part to what Ware's contract was at that point. Ware had a loaded contract and refused to take any kind of pay cut. Witten has done restructures in the past, and right now, yes, he's on a 4-year. It's like a 4-year, $16 million, but there's no guaranteed money tied into it. So because he's not a heavy price investment, I think they're a little bit more content with that. Whereas the Ware thing, I think they felt like they had no choice. But I get where you're going with it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't have any problem with Witten, but I feel like before I have to say anything about Witten, I have to apologize to Cowboys world. Like, I'm sorry, Cowboys, don't hate me for saying something about Witten. But guess what? I am. If you're old, you're old, and we need somebody else. You know what I'm saying? And it's not just the front office. If we were to actually pull back his snaps and actually sit him down, oh Lord, Cowboys Nation would be throwing a fit, and he'd be having to get back on the field because everybody be like, I can't believe they sitting Jason Witten. He deserved better than that. I don't want to hear that crap because there's a lot of players that were just as good as Witten or better that guess what? Got traded, got cut, got shipped.
Yep, Emmitt Smith got cut. I mean, what more do you want? You know,
Joe Montana,
yeah,
Jerry Rice.
yeah.
You can keep going on. Some of the greats have been cut, traded, or let go, and you know why? Because their production. Or they said, you know what? We need younger players now. So as great as you were, and it will happen to everybody in every sport, even in every business. When you get a little too old, guess what? They got young people behind you to replace you. That's life.
So
coddling.
Real quick, while we're still on the kind of discussion of Dak-friendly offense, if Dallas were to take a wide receiver in the draft, let's say somewhere in that 2 to 3 round range, who do you think would be a Dak-friendly acquisition at this point? Do you think it would be a guy like Christian Kirk for the slot purposes, or is there another guy that you kind of have your eye on, a sleeper, if you will?
Go ahead, Law.
Man, I'm
sorry to put you guys on the spot with that. Sorry.
Oh, I already told you who I like.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys know when you're in love, you just start dancing, you start moving, you start grinding, you start doing everything that you can try to put your mind to. And I'm talking about DJ Moore. I'm talking about he's a guy that I'm falling in love. I pretty much fell in love with. Far as this, what he can do for this offense. We already have an Allen Hurns. We already have a Dez Bryant. And one can argue, and there's a report saying that once we draft, whoever we draft, they're going to get rid of Dez. There'll be $8 to $7 million left, and we can go get some more people. I understand that, but look, as the roster is as it at today, give me DJ Moore on this offense, and then you probably had to get rid of a Beasley, unfortunately, because the only problem with Beasley, I love Beasley too as well. And look, I fall in love with players too. I got it too. But thing is, I'm realistically saying that you can't flex Beasley to the outside. You know, and I know some are going to say, well, you know, it's because of Dak Prescott. No, that's a lie. Beasley only caught one pass in his whole entire career on the outside, and that's against the Chicago Bears, and he didn't even get to the end zone. He was like, he got to the end zone, but the NFL hated on him. But my thing is, if you go get a DJ Moore, he's going to help elevate this Dak Prescott friendly offense. And now you have a guy who has a little speed, who's physical, who's not 5'11". He's 6 foot. Believe it or not, I looked at his measurables. He's 6 foot actually, but he's just like one of those guys. If you mix beast mode with a Steven Smith, you know, he just one of those guys. He have that freakish X-File type of body, you know, that players just bounce off of him. So that would be my choice. Maybe a late second. Maybe if he'll somehow skirt out.
Latest draft of him at 30.
I'm wishful thinking. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
late second.
Yeah, you'd have to go early second at the very least to get more. But I do love him as well. I would be very happy. I think he has tremendous speed, and that's one thing that is, it feels like the one tool the offense is still missing, even with a guy like Allen Hurns. He's still 4.5 speed, Allen Hurns, so you're not getting a burner in that regard, but you're getting a guy with good hands, good route running skills, can work inside or out. So it's a good pickup in Hurns, but this offense is, I still think, missing that burner, and Moore would be a perfect complement there. James, hit him with your guy. We know you done a Coach J on him, but for those who might not have seen it.
My guy is DJ Chark from LSU, 6'2", about 6'3", almost about 200 pounds. One of those long, kind of like AJ Green type wiry guys. I like those long wiry guys because they, number one, they're stronger than you think they are, and number two, just like what you've been saying, we need a true burner. But this is what this guy is. I was at the combine and I got to see all these receivers, and it was a pleasure to watch all of them because you could actually watch them in their hand drills. Number one, Chark caught everything that was thrown his way. DJ Chark caught. I think he may have dropped one ball. I love the size, and then you're talking about a legit 4'3" guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He ran it twice, so you're talking about a legit 6'3" guy, a legit 4'3", 4. And you can hit him you can hit him in a slant. He's gone. You can hit him deep. he's gone. When's the last time we had a deep threat? You can just take that quick pump fake and just let it loose. We don't have that, and that's a guy that I feel like we can really get. And I think you can get him in the third round because he didn't have the greatest career at LSU. He was really inconsistent, so that may kind of hurt him if teams are looking at him. But trust me, he is gaining a lot of stock in the NFL, especially after that combine.
Sounds good to me, man. I think we all got good choices.
Yeah. The question is,
have you ever drank strawberry, simply lemonade, raspberry? I'm telling you, you see that right there? That is from God.
have not, no.
Better drink some of that. That stuff good.
Yeah. Let's see.
I threw everybody off on that one. Sorry.
No. Hey, what is it again?
It is. Now, you know that Simply Lemonade, that got the best drink.
Right.
It's Simply Lemonade Raspberry. I happened to get it one day. I was playing ball, and I just happened to see it. Let me grab this. Man, I cracked that joker open, and you know how you just try to take a couple swigs and put it down? No. Gone.
So I need to do this. Thank you for tuning in to the Lemonade Session as we take a deeper look at the strawberry lemonade raspberry edition.
You know it's the raspberry meringue.
And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. DDP, man, put us back on the show, man.
All right, let's see here. Wanted to get your guys' thoughts real quick on. Let's talk a little bit about the couple restructures Dallas did contractually. You know, I've in particular railed against the Cowboys for constantly restructuring 4 or 5 guys, it seems like, in an off season over the recent years. I feel like they've shown a little bit better restraint this year, but it's still one of those things where I think they're trying to still dig themselves out of a hole. They're just using a smaller shovel now, it feels like. So to give precedence to that or clarification of that, the 2 restructures were Jason Witten and Travis Frederick, freeing up about a total of $10 million between the 2. James, what do you think?
Well, me and you talked about this, DDP, how I hate the restructure thing because it always seems to bite us later on down the line, 2-3 years later. Players hurt or injured, he ain't on the team no more. Next thing you know, we're sitting on that dead money. But I will agree with you what you're saying, DDP, when you're saying it looks like they are using a lot more restraint. Take, for instance, with Tyron Smith's contract. He could have been a prime candidate. You could have restructured him, kept restructuring him again. But they're looking at the injury now. They're looking at, you know what, he may not play out that contract. So if you restructure him with it's another 3-4 years of dead money, can't afford that. Exactly. So it looks like they're not trying to go crazy with it like they did before. And I really didn't bother me with the Witten because he's almost gone.
Yeah, there's no guaranteed money tied up there.
So no guaranteed money right there, so that didn't bother me. But I guess the Travis Frederick thing, because it was almost like he was the first candidate, kind of like with Zach Martin. Mm-hmm. I kind of feel like as soon as they sign Zach Martin in a year or two, he's getting the restructure.
Yep.
So how much money do we have left now?
Oh, man.
I hate to throw that at you. Somebody in the chat box.
He been with some heat. He threw some
right to the.
He threw some Randy Johnson. He threw some Randy Johnson heat at him like that.
Right.
I'm that pigeon that just exploded into feathers when he hit that. Yeah.
DDP was like, hold on. I got that.
Yeah. While he looking up the figures, I just want to give out a quick shout out to everybody that's in the chat box. My Cowboys family, B. Parker, Italian Cowboys, my brother from another mother, Gibby 252, Jackie Smith. You know we love you. Ty Jefferson too as well. J Form. Hey, you hear I got my voice back, man. Eric Payne, shout out to you too as well. Who else? Anybody else in the chat box, man, want me to give a shout out? Let me know right now. If I leave you out or anything, just charge it to my head, not my heart. B. Parker, Steve, what's up, man? Shout out to you too as well. Frank Cardenza, yeah, shout out to you too as well. And hey, this message is brought to you guys by Aquafina Flow.
I like it.
The Aquafina Flow.
Oh, Rand Burge, shout out to you too as well. And the Bud in Me, Shout out to you. I don't know
The
what the
bud in
bud
me.
is. The bud in me.
The bud in me. I don't know what that's talking about, but I like it.
Yeah. Beltrain, shout out to you too as well. And let's get this thing going. Charles, Edwards too as well. Ricky Heiss. Everybody jumping in.
Everybody's in the house today.
Yeah.
What's up?
And everybody else following from the other channels too as well. Shout out to you guys. I don't know if Virginia Founders is anywhere in the house. Normally he is, but shout out to you. Oh, Kofi. Shout out to you and thank you for the donation to help grow the nation. We need every penny we can count. I thank you, man. That's salute to you, man. That's a lot of money. $5 is a lot of money to help us out.
Salute, big salute.
Yeah.
You need to. How about them Cowboys?
I wish I had producer G. Man.
How about them Cowboys?
Hey, while we in the segue, man, hey, I want you guys to do me a big, and I'm talking about a big, huge favor. Right now, if you guys are not following DDP page,
yes,
man, you guys go and follow his page.
He's growing like
and
crazy.
If you guys not following Big Game Jane page, I'm talking about the Silver and Blue Nation too as well. Man, I don't know what you guys are doing. Go right now.
Like
hit
right
the
now.
Subscribe button.
Right.
It's in the description box, man. Just look down below.
Nation.
And Big Game James is right there. Big Game James. So that's holla at it. You know, I'm doing Cowboys all day. We talking like whatever. So honestly, I'm gonna just tell you right now. If you don't want to hear anything bad talked about the Cowboys, don't get on my page.
Yes, indeed.
Because I keep it real.
Right. This is real talk, man.
It's real talk. Ain't nothing sugarcoated.
This is not no what is it, the powder puff girl?
Yeah, we ain't no sugarcoat with the Cowboys. I mean, it's time to get championships, so there ain't no time to sugarcoat nothing about what we need from our team. We need championships. We haven't seen one in a very long time. Playoffs are just not enough. Just getting to the playoffs is for the Browns or the Detroit Lions or somebody else. That's for those teams to just get to the playoffs and be happy. That's not the Dallas Cowboys, and that's not what we're used to. So I'm not going to be satisfied with just getting to the playoffs or just being 9-7 and we just had 2 winning seasons. No, I'm not satisfied with that. I want back to championships. I want back to Super Bowls, and we need to get back to that mentality and that thought pattern from the top all the way to the bottom and how they practice, play, and do everything. It's got to be a championship moment every single time.
Yes, indeed, and I expect that, and we should all expect that too as well. And think about this, guys. We will be live at the draft. I want to see you guys physically, face to face, something tangible that I can touch, and so we can really get into. So we can really get in tune. Yeah, I'm gonna be touching your faces, man. I'm like
rubbing their faces. All right.
Thank you for tuning into the Low Nation Film Station. As we take a deeper look at this guy's face, he's been following the Cowboys for a long time, man.
He's gonna ask them. He's gonna ask them if they're subscribed to Silver and Blue Nation in the Dallas Prospect. If they say no, he's just gonna
cut them off.
Yes, and then I'm gonna have a little. I'm gonna have a little knife. I'm gonna have a knife. I'm gonna cut you, and if it don't bleed Silver and Blue, I'm telling you right now, we're gonna do something to you. Shout out, see, by us talking about this thing, we got Jason Miller. I know he bleeds Silver and Blue because he made a donation to help grow the nation. I'm talking about $10, baby.
$10, okay.
Mama, we made it.
Okay, all right. Well, can I get a 20? Can I get a 20?
Can I get a 20?
40.
I'm seeing in the chat from DT that the Cowboys' current cap is $5,205,722.
Ooh, big shout outs.
Yeah, man. Got the real specific number.
Hey,
I was trying to find further confirmation on that number, but yeah, I'll give you the shout out while I look to verify.
Yeah, we got to look to verify, though. We got to look to verify.
Yeah, I'm still on it.
We trust you, but we got to verify.
We trust you, but we got to verify.
So we got about $5 million in the bank, right?
$5 million in the bank.
And we got some players that we probably can just go out and really look at. But
so I guess we're leaving Navarro Bowman alone because he's going back with the Raiders.
Did that come down earlier?
I don't know. I know they were talking with him again, wanting to bring him back, and I know he could have been on our radar again. I just know if you're talking about veteran linebackers, just as long as you don't bring back nothing like no Justin Durant, I'm okay. Just don't bring back nothing like that because I knew we were in trouble when we were getting excited about bringing Justin Durant back.
Yeah,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like for real. Like, do you really expect us to get excited when you said when they waited the whole year until camp to sign we were all waiting for possibly your boy that came from the Cardinals that had been suspended for them 3 years. Darrell Washington.
Kerwin
we
Williams
had
or something.
yeah.
That's
Darrell Washington. We had a couple. There was some
Sherwin
other
Williams,
linebackers
where
that
am
were
I
out
getting
there.
that?
David Sherman Williams, yeah. David Harris from the Jets. He was out there before the Patriots scooped up. There was like some linebackers. We didn't get none of them, and then all of a sudden they came in there. Hey, we signed Justin Durant. Like we were supposed to jump up and be like, yes, no. And what happened? The same thing that happened with him last year. Hurt, didn't finish the year. What are you thinking about? I'll tell you what. This year, when we draft somebody, we better get some linebackers that are on the field day
what you just
one.
said.
Hold on. Pump the brakes, guys. I got Jason Miller that reached around in his pocket and donated another $20.
I called that one, Jason. Now I think you got deep pockets. Now I don't got no fun. I don't got no fun yet. But there's also Big Game James. You can holler at me whenever you choose, Mr. Jason Miller.
Help this brother. I mean, look, Jason Miller. Don't you know when Big Game James?
That's some big stuff.
That's big. Let him know where you at. You don't have to know, give him your physical address, but tell him what state you are and what you're going to do to get to the draft. Tell them what you got to do to get down here.
Hey, I got to fly down there. I might drive down there. That's a 15-hour drive. Hey, holler at me. Big Game James, get in that inbox, come see me.
hey,
we'll turn your way.
Let them know what state it is, too, as well. Let them know what state you got.
Columbus, Ohio. Now, don't be a stalker. Don't be a stalker. Okay?
But man, we really appreciate all you guys for the donation to help the nation, man. But the real talk is that where is all our money is going?
Cap number looks good. Cap number looks good. The $5 million, but Dustin Walker also points out we got Scandrick's money coming off because he's a post June 1st cut.
Right. So that's another $3 million coming off. And if they cut James Hanna, which they need to, there's no reason why you got James Hanna on the team anymore. I think they save another 3.4 for him too. So that looks like another 6 that could be available. Make it happen.
Yeah, that would be very beneficial. So shout out to DT and Dustin Walker for tag teaming that.
Shout outs to y'all.
Yeah,
big info.
I was able to verify as well, so we're good there.
That means everything. My thing is, too, as well, I just want to bring up this topic. I know this probably not on the sheet, but look here. The Rams, they didn't sign Ndamukong Suh, right, for $14 million.
Yep.
I heard that they still got $22 million left. They can just play around with. And I'm sitting here like saying that they can go get
Odell. Go get Odell.
And still have money. Hey, I would like for them.
You know what, guys?
Yeah,
guys? This is what I'm going to say about that.
Where's our money, though? Where's our money before you go into it? Where's our money?
I mean, we know where our money is. Tony Romo's finally come off the book after this year, so that'll really help.
Still paying Nolan Carroll, too.
Nolan Carroll and I believe Cedric Thornton. I believe we're paying him, too.
We got 4 guys on dead money.
But I think just because we see these signings, because I know I get frustrated sometimes when I see these signings, but all signings ain't good signings. How many times have we seen a lot of these teams that go out there and get these big name free agents? They get 3 or 4 of them on the team, and guess what? They don't go to the playoffs. They don't do anything. And the next thing you know, 3 or 4 years down the line, they can't do anything because they signed these guys to too much money. You know what I'm saying? They signed these guys to too much money, and now 3 years down the line, they're getting caught up. So I will give Dallas the benefit of that they are exercising the self-control now, and we're not doing the big spending. I just say just get maybe 1 or 2 that can make a difference. That's all I'm saying is the difference makers. You don't have to go out and break the bank, but just get difference makers if you're going to get them. But like I said, if you see the Rams, they got what? Talib, and then they got Marcus Peters, right? Think about it, though. Both of those guys are head cases. They've been nothing but trouble since they've been in NFL. Now you got them on the same team. Who's the leader? You got Ndamukong Suh, who's had problems in the NFL. Who's the leader on the Rams of the defense? They got rid of Ogletree. He was one of the leaders on the defense in the linebacker position. So now, even though you're getting talent, you're void of leadership. And if you don't have the leadership, you can have all the talent you want. Because if you don't have that leadership in the locker room, talent ain't going to win you them games.
They're saying good point, Jay. Man, hey, it is what it is, man.
When they brought in that safety, I'm trying to think. They had like 1 or 2 other guys that was supposed to be legit, and they didn't even make the playoffs and ended up
Right, and you think about it, when you get a lot of those high price free agents and they get them on one team, they blow that team up quickly. When they find out it doesn't work within a couple of years, they blow it up, and then guess what? They have to start a long time over because now they have to replenish their team with young players, and it takes a long cycle for you to get young players in the draft. That's like a 2 or 3 year deal when you mess up in free agency. It takes a long time to catch up. So I do like the theory that Dallas is staying with the young players with the draft, and we are very young as far as across the board with our team. So I'm not mad at that with the way Stephen Jones is doing it. I just wanted to maybe get 1 or 2 guys that can maybe make that difference. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not mad at what they're doing as far as keeping us out of salary cap hell. I can't hate on that. I just can't.
Yeah, and my guy Simon's in the chat box, he said, think about this, guy. Next year, we will be set up. It's going. We
will have some money. We will have some money.
Yeah, yeah. So it's gonna be a lot of things shaking and moving.
Yeah. Like he has to show and prove this year anyway. Because let's be honest, if Dak Prescott thought year 2 was pressure, this year is going to be super pressure because now you don't have everybody that are Cowboys fans on your team. You have a lot of negativity against you now. So anytime you throw a bad pass, guess what? You might start hearing boos.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. His class, right? His quarterback class. Who are the 2 guys that have already got extensions that you would put in that same kind of ballpark? It's not his draft class, excuse me there. We had the Darreck Carr contract, which I think was like $135 million, and then you had the Jimmy Garoppolo, insane contract. So whatever Dak gets, even if it's a year, let's say only a little better than this past year, he's gonna get student money, and it's gonna hurt to sign him because you're gonna be talking, $25 million plus a year at least.
Well, but you know what I'll do with Dak Prescott if he have the same year that he had last year, right?
That's not a bad year.
It's not a bad year, but collectively, what I would do with him, and I hate to say this, and I know don't crucify me, guys. I would Kirk Cousins him. I would put him on a franchise tag and say, prove it to me one more time. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know how much the franchise tag.
That's a lot of money for him, though.
How much would that be?
That's like $20-something million, ain't it?
How much for franchise? Somebody in the chat box, man, let me know what the franchise tag is.
I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna keep it real low
for 1 year.
I like that, but I'm not. I'm not franchising no Dak Prescott for 20 years, 20 million for 1 year. I mean, I like Dak, but he's not no 20 million a year for 1 year.
But at that point, hold on, before we look at the numbers, at this point, will it be 130 million? Will you give him 130 million for 5 years?
I'm not giving no Dak Prescott no $130 million.
That's again. I think that's the going rate right now. Is that correct?
Right, but
what does staff forget? What does staff forget?
He ain't showed me that he's that $130 million money.
So what would you give him? You got to give him something like that because that's the rate. That's going to be whatever Derek Carr got. That's what Dak Prescott going to be trying to say. That was his. If I'm his agent, I'm gonna be like, look, I want Derek Carr money.
I think Garoppolo, man, 7 starts.
David Carr, which one?
I know. I'm just saying, Derek Carr. Look, Derek Carr didn't even have good. I think Dak Prescott's numbers were better than Derek Carr's numbers this year.
Which is problematic.
But look at his money, though.
135.
So I'm right. So by the time he gets his contract, it's gonna be right around 140 something. And I'll be damned if excuse me, I know I'm trying to keep it PG-13, but I'd be gosh darn it if I go. If I pay for my quarterback 140 or 145 million, you know.
Derek Carr 5 for 125.
So say that again.
5 for 125.
So is Derek Carr? So let me ask y'all both this: Derek Carr, is he that worth that money? I mean, not saying he's worth. I don't know if anybody's worth it, but is he a franchise type quarterback to get that money?
I mean, put it like
yes or no?
Man,
yes or no?
He only had one good year.
Is he a franchise quarterback?
I'm leaning
yes or no?
towards yes for what you have to believe he is right now. So if I'm Oakland, I view him as a franchise quarterback, and that's why they paid him.
I'm asking you.
If I'm running
Oakland, do you view him as a franchise quarterback?
If I'm running Oakland, no. But it's not. It doesn't matter what I think. It matters what they think.
I feel you, but we talking about us right now.
Man,
Garoppolo 5 for 137.5.
I think Garoppolo's better than Derek Carr.
But he haven't proven it, though.
I know, but I don't know why. I just feel like Garoppolo's better than him.
He's got the better build and frame for what you want, right? Your prototypical quarterback.
I just feel like when you're on Belichick's roster for that long, Belichick knows something. And I heard, well, you heard the rumors how Tom Brady felt some kind of way with Garoppolo being behind him. You know why? Because Garoppolo was good. And that's why Tom Brady felt a threat with him, because Garoppolo was that good. And when you saw Bill Belichick did not want to get rid of him because he knew Garoppolo was good. And what happened? He left and he went to the Niners. And I know it's a small sample, so I know we can't geeked up. It's only 7 games, so I'm not going to go crazy with it. But the kid was with New England, and he was good when if he didn't get hurt when he hurt his shoulder, he could have probably, who knows what had happened then.
Hey,
who knows?
We got DT. I think he's saying again regarding the tender amount for a quarterback for 2017. It was $21,268,000.
Oh wow! You giving Dak Prescott $21 million for 1 year?
For 1 year,
rent a quarterback.
No.
Hell no.
What's the
Hell
what's the ramifications on the cap? You know what I mean?
Big shout out to
not doing
DT
that.
though.
Hey,
DT's the man.
DT's coming with the stats faster than I am right now, man.
DT is the man.
Quote unquote DT is now our unofficial stats guru.
I've been
so
demoted.
whenever we go live, we're gonna reach out to
DT.
DT.
DT, we need you being here. You have demoted DDP in 2 hours.
Yeah, I've been demoted.
All right, but my thing is with the quarterback, man, I love Dak Prescott, but we really, yeah, you did. So we're really going to see the sample size this year. We're really going to see what Dak can do this year, and from my opinion, I'm leaning on Dak. I'm rooting for him. It's going to be a good year. Shout out to Mississippi State, Hell State.
23
What else
mil,
we got on the docket?
23 mil
DDP,
for 2018. Sorry, DT came with the new number now, because I have not been embarrassed enough in that regard. Nah, man, he's got it going, man. He's doing legit work. Big shout out to DT.
DT's
next,
the man.
Yeah, man. Next on
Stats and facts.
Yeah, man. Next on the thing, we already talked a little bit about Terrence Williams and his foot. Let's talk about the Lyle Collins situation. Do you move him back to guard, or do you keep him at right tackle?
Well, first thing I would say about that is they're probably, I don't know what's going to happen. If you hear about what they've been saying on, by getting Fleming, and they've been bringing in other people. They brought in Fleming. He's only on a 1-year deal worth, $3 million, I believe. So that's not something where you would say he's going to be the starter at the tackle forever. So that would say that I don't know if they're going to move Lyle Collins to guard, because they only signed him for a 1-year deal, and it's not a lot of money. So if you have a Lyle Collins who you just invested money, it would seem this is the reason why I don't think they will move him. I'd rather him go to left guard, because I felt that was his position. I felt like he was the guy right there. But when you look at what he signed at, he re-signed as a tackle. He re-signed as a right tackle. So I think he's getting like the 3rd paid highest as a tackle in the NFL right now. So if you were to move him to guard and you're paying him tackle money, I think that would hurt in negotiations. So I don't know if that comes into play too. I'm just throwing it out there.
It's man, I'm perplexed, man. DDP, just go ahead and you talk to me, man. Talk to me.
I'm reluctant to move him as well, just because this is going to be his 4th season playing for us, and really one of those entire seasons he didn't really play because of an injured toe. Yeah. So it was like turf toe or something like that, torn something, whatever. Toe injury kept him out for pretty much all of 2016. We had Leary in there. So as a result, we're talking about a guy with 3 years experience, and we're talking about moving his position a 3rd time. He was a left tackle in college, came out, moved to left guard for us. I think he showed good promise there, but then we moved him to right tackle because we had to do something. We had Doug Free retire, and we had Leary leave in free agency for Denver, and so we took basically our best athlete out there, our mauler, and moved him to right tackle. And as you said, they gave him a contract extension based on that position. And so it does kind of tangle that up a little bit. And as a result, I think that my gut tells me he's better suited for guard. And if you're not concerned about depth, then it's good to use Fleming as your starting right tackle. But if you really are concerned about Tyron's back, then I think you got to keep Lyle and use Fleming as your swing tackle.
Okay, I see exactly what you're saying. Can anybody help me out with revisionist history? I guess I think you said that way. What position did Larry Allen play?
Left guard.
He was a left guard.
Yeah.
He was a left guard.
So who was the tackle?
Was it Eric Williams? Eric Williams was right tackle.
I can hear DT typing now.
Okay. DT, put it out there, man. Somebody help me out.
Larry Allen was our left guard, I believe, and
Yeah.
Eric Williams was our right tackle.
Okay. All right. So let's just do this.
Because I remember the big club.
Right. So let's move. Let's move them to guard, and we just find us a right tackle, and then we just see what Cam Fleming can do. He's a Super Bowl champion. He blocked for one of the arguably greatest quarterback in this lifetime that we've seen. So hopefully that good.
They said 7 tackles. They say he gave up 7 tackles in 4 years. Check that DP or DDP for me. So that
no. Hold on for somebody in the chat box. Nate Newton was not a tackle. He was a guard.
Nate Newton was a guard too.
Yeah. I mean, I know that, you know. Mark Tuinei.
Mark Tuinei was.
Are we talking left tackle or right tackle for?
We're talking about left tackle.
Left tackle.
And how Larry Allen was such a nice guard for us.
I thought Larry Allen was left guard.
Left guard.
Yeah, he was left guard.
No, we're trying to figure out who the tackle next to him was.
Oh, the left tackle wasn't it Flozell Adams?
No. Well,
maybe.
Eric Williams to go, man. I know we got some old school Cowboy fans in the chat box, man.
Yeah, I know Eric Williams because it was Mark Tuinei, Stepnoski, Larry Allen, and then it was I know Eric Williams, and then Flozell Adams came in after that. Flozell the Hotel.
Right. So Flozell. So yeah, you're right on the money, man. So my thing is with this whole thing with Lyle Collins. I mean, if you pair him up with Tyron Smith. And we know for sure that Tyron Smith was kind of like,
tackle.
Yeah. So Tyron Smith was like this whole season. He probably was like, man, dog, I got these horrible guys to my right, and I know for sure that I can't really trust these guys. You see what I'm saying? He probably overextended himself. So what I'm saying is right here, right now, is let's just go ahead and pull the Band-Aid off the wound, and just say, okay, we made a mistake. We put Lyle Collins at right tackle, which I prefer. Trust me, Cowboy Nation, I prefer Lyle Collins to play right tackle. But what will help this team out is just go ahead and kick him back into the inside and say, look, we paying you right tackle money, but don't worry about it. We're gonna keep you at left guard. And
so you think he's a better right? So you think he's a better right tackle than a left guard?
Yes or no?
He can get up to the second level from guard better, and he's a mauler at that point. So I think he's a better guard.
But I think
he played better at left guard. You put me in the mercy seat, fam.
I got to. I mean,
it's hot, man. It's hot.
He wasn't bad at tackle because he had to go against monsters all year. Like he went against monsters. Pierre Paul. I mean, your boy Von Miller, Khalil Mack. I mean, Ryan Kerrigan. I mean, he was going against dogs like every single week. So you got to give him props for what he did. I just think his arms are a little short. And if you watched his technique, he tends to reach a lot and not use his feet. And I think that's how some people got past him. But Lyle Collins did great at tackle. I just feel like when they brought him in, he was just a good fit, especially when we ran those sweeps and them counters, because you can use his power in that short area quickness where you can't really see his speed and his power when he's playing the tackle position. I just felt like he was a great guard, but I think he's good either way. It's just I think the biggest thing that messes up that situation is when they moved him to tackle, they paid him tackle money. Now, if you move him back to guard, that's going to mess up negotiations because you remember what happened with Jimmy Graham when he came to the Seahawks or even the Saints. He was getting mad because he was considering himself a receiver, and they were trying to pay him, and they want him to block, and they're trying to pay him tight end money, but he was standing up, so he said, "You need to pay me like a receiver and not a tight end." And they're like, "No, you're a tight end." So that's why I say negotiations.
Did we already call out Mark Tuinei as the tackle?
Mark Tuinei.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
shout out
just-
to the
Did two and they died?
old school.
Yeah, 99 drug overdose.
Yeah.
Ecstasy. I believe it was ecstasy.
I read heroin.
Heroin. Oh, could be both.
Oh, wow. But shout out to all the old school Cowboys with the facts.
You ain't have to do me like that, DDP.
I gotta get some of my cred back, man.
You just can't cut me. You just can't cut me. He said,
I'm hemorrhaging credibility over here. I had to get it back.
He said, I heard it was heroin. I said, oh, okay.
I had to get some of it back. I missed a few beats in a row there.
Oh, man. So, hey, all the reservation that you mentioned with Lyle Collins, a big game, James, you don't have them with Cam Fleming. So it just speaks volumes of Cam Fleming. So we just put him to the right side. Hey, we win 13-3 games this year, or we win 12-4 games. We go to the Super Bowl, we win it all. Anybody get what I'm saying?
I'm trying to envision it.
Oh, buddy. Because we do know this thing right here, right? Ezekiel Elliott, shoot, you got that left side with big number 77. You got 71. Ezekiel Elliott can fall forward and get 5 yards on that left side. So let's just make this thing happen, man. Hell, I'm tired of just trying to move him here, move him there. Just go ahead and say, hey, Lyle Collins, I know you're going to get a little upset. It's not even. I don't even want you to compete for the right tackle at this point. I want to put you over here to the left guard, and let's just move on. We get some defensive drafted people with the first and second pick, and then we go get an offensive guy, an explosive wide receiver with a third and fourth or somewhere around that ilk, and we go and win this Super Bowl. That's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I think it breaks down to what they think the health situation is for Tyron. If they still have concerns with the back, they might want to save Fleming for the swing tackle and keep Lyle where he's at. I think he's best suited as guard, but you got to look at the overall picture. Who knows, though? They could also just then assess, that position in the draft as well. But then you'd be plugging in a rookie potentially in an injury situation, which can be rough. Transitioning here a little bit, what do you guys make of the Randy Gregory situation as he's seeking reinstatement?
I gotta see proof on the pudding, man. I've beat the drum enough for Randy.
Yeah.
But my thing is, I have to see it. Everybody have reasons, and I said this before, but results is what matter. And
my battery died. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we got
you.
Yeah, my battery died. I'm sorry, I had to move, so I apologize. So if it's looking weird or crazy, don't worry about it. I'm just living hood life right now.
Man.
You're still good, man.
Man, you live like 95, man. You in the flex, man.
I heard Randy Gregory though.
We heard Randy Gregory. The only thing we can hope Randy Gregory is doing is not like this, man. We don't want Randy Gregory doing this number, man.
He's got the steps to going back to applying for reinstatement.
Yep.
I pray not even that he can play football. I just pray that he finally got it right or getting it right. I mean, I'm gonna just keep it real. Just my personal opinion. I mean, it's weed, it's marijuana. Come on, states are already approving it. Let's not act like it's some crazy drug. Let's not act like nobody does it. Let's keep it real. Okay, so let's not just throw it out the door like, I can't believe he smokes weed, and you're probably the same person that's smoking a blunt right now. So let's get off the judging. Let's just say, can he get back on the field? Because you know what? You didn't give him 94 for a reason. You didn't give him that 94 for a reason, and we all know that's why everybody's excited. Only reason why everybody got mad at Randy Gregory because he couldn't play. That's it, because we all knew how good he could be.
Right.
That's the only reason why we're mad at Randy Gregory, because we know how damn good he could be, and we know how much he can take our team. He's that elite player. I know he hasn't played in 3 years, but when we drafted him and I watched his tape at Nebraska, he's elite, dog. He's an elite player. That's why they gave when Dez Bryant came to the Cowboys, here's 88, buddy. Why? You knew why. When Randy Gregory came in, they said, here's 94. Why? Because we think you're that guy. If he can just get his life together and get back on that field, you saw when he played against the Philadelphia Eagles that one day. That one game, he had like eight tackles and 1 sack, and you sitting there thinking like, oh, hell no, I can't wait to get to the playoffs. And then that dummy Goodell says, nope, you're suspended. That's where I think conspiracy theory comes in. Just a little bit.
Somewhere computer is his ears are burning somewhere.
He loved that.
Yeah, man.
Man, that computer, yeah, he is laughing somewhere, man. Oh man! And if you guys don't know, go back and watch the live stream that we did with Mexico, and Mexico, and I call him conspiracy computer. You know?
Yep. Yeah, man.
It's the refs. It's the refs.
Definitely. Yeah, we'll be having computer on possibly next week. I'll have to get with him, check his availability and all that, but some point here soon, I think we're going to be rolling out on the network his own kind of show as well, which I'll help him with and everything. But I don't know the details on that, like what night of the week that would be or anything like that, but I think that works well, and then we can have him on every now and then for like a segment or a roundtable discussion if we want. But yeah, I like what we got building here. We got a lot of good people wanting to come in and get involved.
The new A team, I keep saying it.
Yep.
Get on
copyright
that
flag.
I know. No, G already told me that. G already told me, they said, can't that be copyrighted? And I said, yeah, but it sounded good.
Yeah. You got to stop about 3 notes sooner.
Right.
But I'm gonna say this right now: we got 150 people in the chat box.
Nice.
If you guys are not following DDP,
That's big.
And the also
Diamond
the Silver and Blue
Dallas
Nation,
prospect.
Diamond Dallas prospect.
Yeah,
That's hard.
man.
If you guys not following them, man, what are you guys thinking?
You know what I'm saying? Thinking about that name. We was all kicking and thinking about that name. We got some good names. Like he got Law Nation. That's a hard name. Like, you know what I'm saying? DDP, Diamond, Dallas Pay. That Dallas prospect. This is hard. And then you already know Big Game James, BGJ. You know it's hard. I know you haters might say you whack, but you know it's hard deep down inside.
Oh man,
and deep down inside, you know it's hard.
Hey,
man, our producer's a straight G.
He's producer G.
Producer
Yeah,
G. And even in his absence right now, I know he gonna take this and he gonna flip this thing around.
Oh, he mad.
Oh yeah,
He's
it
mad.
look like we walking on water.
Oh, he mad. He gonna be like, I'm gonna give this the next production, the greatest production in the world.
Yeah, shout out to Murphy Law though. Still salute to Murphy Law for stepping into the mix and messing this thing up. Because next time we gonna whoop his. You know what? You know what I mean? I'm trying to keep it
for you. Whoop his ass.
Say it for me, baby.
Whoop his ass. Whoop it.
Yeah. Yes, indeed, man. Hey, Annette, we love you too. And we love all you guys, man. Thank y'all for subscribing, man. Oh yeah, Free, man. Coffee, thank you too as well for the donation to help grow the nation. Ty Jefferson, thank you too as well. Hey, do we have anything else, DDP, on the docket?
Let's see. Got something else in Cha. What grade would you give the Dallas free agency wise so far?
B.
B.
Man, you hit me. B.
And to re-clarify on for anyone listening who might not have heard us mention it already, that's Allen Hurns and Deontay Thompson at wide receiver, Joe Thomas at linebacker, Cameron Fleming at right tackle, and Marcus Martin at, I think, currently left guard. I think he's the Jonathan Cooper replacement for the time being. So that's the free agent haul. They also traded for Jamiz Olawale, but we're counting free agency only here. So James,
not to be a contrarian, but I give these rascals, man, a C because really, to be honest with you,
I thought
guys,
Law was about to put me in my place.
No. You on the money though. But my thing is not trying to be a contrarian. But what I'm saying is that we still had the chance to get Danny Shelton. We didn't do that. I think that he would have been a good player to put down at the 1 or play the 0. There's still an Eric Reed out there that we're not going to touch, and I really think that that's a big mistake because we can get him too as well, and we can start focus on other things in the draft, and it's just things like that. So I'm a hard grader. You're not going to walk around and you're not going to get an A or no B with me with this type of stuff. So I'm just going to say this right now. We'll see.
I like you. I like that.
Give me a C+. I think it's here's why I say C+. The only reason I'm giving it the plus is because I think with what they've done it very affordably. That I like that. Like Hurns, 2 years, $12 million. Holy crap! Sign me up. That is insanely insanely affordable. Like I said in my video earlier this week, Sammy Watkins got $16 million guaranteed. He's getting more guaranteed money. Dez playing $12 million this year. Sammy Watkins 16, and Sammy Watkins doesn't have half the skins on the wall that Dez does. He has 1,000 yard season. Dez has, I guess, 3, but it's been a little while since he's done it. I think Allen Hurns 2 for $12 million alone is commendable for them. But then you also get Fleming. He's a 1-year deal worth like $3 million. I just like what they're doing. They're getting serviceable to good parts, and they're doing it on a thrift store budget, right? Like we criticize the thrift store player. I don't mind at all if you got if your expenses are thrift store, quality. But as long as the parts you're getting are worth more than thrift store parts, then I'm good with it.
Well, I think it comes back down to coaching as well. I think the reason why I gave it a B was because I would say I had it as a C, but the thing to me what made it jump to a B was the fact that Allen Hurns came in, he left, and he came back. And that's what stood out to me. Because when he left, I thought he was gone.
That was the Jets thing, right? The snowstorm?
Yeah. Well,
Terrell Pryor being in town already with the Jets?
Exactly.
Yep.
I just felt like Dallas really did their due diligence on him. They made some kind of impression on him because he's a solid number 2. He is a guy that we needed. He is a guy we needed. And he's not old. He's 26 years old. And he's 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns. He's been proven. Top 100 player. He's proven it. And for him to leave, come back and then sign for barely nothing.
Yep.
That's big. That made my grade jump. And then to get Cameron Fleming, to me, when they first announced Cameron Fleming was possibly going to meet, and that was months ago, I was on that train. Yep. Because I guess I'm going to keep it real. I looked at the pedigree. You play with the Patriots. I'm going to naturally give you props. I'm sorry. You played at the Patriots. You were the right tackle, and you were the starter. So you were good. Okay? So I'm going to give that. And then when I look at the quality of depth, Deontay Thompson, yeah, he's not nothing great, but he's something speed that we needed. Joe Thomas, yes, but he did have 70 tackles in one season, and he did play for the Packers. Packers are known to have good linebackers. And then the kid, Martin, depth. So that's that's why I kind of like the B right now. And I think the Allen Hurns will just really glare to me because he left, he came, he left, and came back and signed for pretty much peanuts. I love it.
Yeah. Let me not retort, but let me just tell you this, Big Game Jack.
He said, "Let me tell you this."
What I'm more now, as far as off-season acquisition, what I'm more proud of, believe it or not, outside of the free agencies that we move, and we talking real talk, guys. So sit back, grab your glass of wine, because I'm gonna serenade the moment for you guys.
Serenade.
Let me tell you.
Let me get deep with you too. I got kind of deep. I ain't deep like you, but I can get deep.
And remember, I like this Sanjay Lyle situation, right?
Yes.
Let me put you guys in a different thought track, right? We got a new offensive wide receiver coach, right? Sanjay Lyle. I love that more than the actual Allen Hurns situation, believe it or not. Now we got a Chris Richards or Richards, however you say his name.
Rashard.
I love. Yeah, what's his name is again?
Rashard.
I love that because now the fact that now we can throw in a new wrinkle. Now what I want Chris to do is to step up and be like, you know what, Rod, you cool and all, you know.
That ain't happening.
All that good stuff. All I want you to do is just focus on that front four. I got the rest, baby. Right. Let me just take over this thing. Look, I got proof in the pudding. I know you got skins on the wall, but look at my skins. They more recent. I put Seattle Seahawks on the map. I want to be able to show you guys what I can do with a Byron Jones, what I can do with a Kevon Frazier, what I can do with a Derwin James if y'all go out there and get him, what I can do with an actual Jordan Lewis. Come on, man. If anybody ain't hype, man, you guys got to get hype right now because now we got – look, let me just turn this music up right now for you guys listen to the chat box, man. You guys know what I'm talking about right now. You guys know when I get this music right here going, you know I'm hype. I'm live. I'm lit. Because I'm ready to get this thing going for the right direction. And we got Chris. I'm talking about we're going to move this defense from number 8 overall. In my mind, in my heart, in my soul, in my whole fortitude, I want this defense to be top 3, top 4. If not, anything else less, it's not successful to me because I want this Dallas Cowboys defense to be feared and recognized throughout the whole Mecca. Come on, we can do this thing, baby. That's all I have to say on that.
Well, I'm a piggyback off that. We can get a defense like that, but we ain't got them third or fourth league type players yet. We still need a couple more pieces to the puzzle. I will say that, but I agree with you. I said this last year, and me and actually producer G were talking about this with Rob Marinelli. I was never one to try to force Marinelli out. I've always given Rob Marinelli props. But I feel like Rob Marinelli is like an old grandpa. He's one of them old grandpas where you just don't want to step on his toes, and you just when he yells at you, just like, oh, you just kind of like, oh, that's old grandpa. Wait, don't worry about him. I don't feel like he has the touch mentally as far as he's lost touch. So it's a young man's game. Okay, it's not an old man's game. It's a young man's game. These guys are coming in 22, 23, 24 years old. You have to be able to relate to these kids. Ron Marinelli is like almost 80 years old. He old as hell. And I'm not dogging him, but he old as hell. Do you really think he relates to them guys, them kids? No, because even when the reporters talk to Marinelli and they say, have you seen this movie? He's like, no, I don't watch any of that.
Look,
Marinelli, man, he's a tough dude. He wrestled a bear. Tough. You remember that? He wrestled a bear once?
Right, but I hear all the wrestling and tough and all that, but you got to be able to still relate.
Yeah. My granddaddy used to say he could turn the lights off and be in bed before dark. And although I believe what he said, but as I got older, I realized that those are just fairy tales. Exactly. And my thing is, even when I was out on Rob Marinelli, when he thought, remember that guy Hayden, and he called him the golden cock, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You guys remember that guy? Yeah. I got his name, Hayden something, you know, and he was like, no, these are my guys. These are my orphans and things like that. Look, it's time for me to just say, hey, Rod, I love you to death, but just stay focused on that front four. I know what you can do with that, but everything else, let this Chris guy take it over.
But that's what I'm saying, though.
Yeah, let him take it over.
I'm feeling you, Law, because if you saw the videotape, when we first hired Chris Richard, I posted a video when they had him behind the scenes, and when I seen him on the field with that enthusiasm, yelling at the players, not yelling, but getting them hyped up and teaching and yelling and being on the field, that's what young players need. That's what them young players need, and we don't have an old secondary. Okay, we got a young secondary that needs molded and fined and shaped, and Chris Richard was the best, to me, answer for that, because he relates to these young guys. And I feel like when you can relate to these guys, you bring the best out of them. And I feel like he's going to take that secondary, and if we can just get a couple really good linebackers up in there, yes, it could be nasty. It could be very nasty.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah. But what else we have on the cheat, DDP, man? What else?
Yo, kind of closing thing here. We've pretty much run through the run sheet, but are you guys aware that Zeke now is going to have his own clothing line called Stay Hungry?
I
see that as well.
For man getting money.
Yeah, I don't know what the Jerry Jones tie-in here is, but he thanked Jerry for that support, so that's interesting.
Probably pay for all his shirts.
Let me break this down to you guys, man. That whole situation with Zeke all last year, it cost him more money off the field than anything.
Yep.
We see an influx of commercials with Dak Prescott, and commercials are good, a way of getting money, because we know Dak Prescott is getting paid pennies, and I understand that a lot of people may think that they're taking time off the field, but nothing. And I'm telling you guys right now, nothing amounts to the amount of money that Ezekiel Elliott lost, because teams like these organizations like domestic violence, smear of the NFL, we can't do a Subway commercial for him. So in another perspective, this might be a blessing in disguise for us with Ezekiel Elliott, because now he may can just fly under the radar, sell his own paraphernalia, whatever it may be, or his own, whatever you call it, gear or what have you, and make his own money. And he probably makes more money because he don't have to split it. Maybe throw Jerry a bone here and there, you know.
You gonna have to throw Jerry a bone, because I know Jerry fund all that. Like I took care of them. I took care of them lawyer bills. You gonna look out? You gonna look back for them, boy? Gonna look back out for me.
Yes, indeed. So hashtag stay hungry, guys, and hashtag don't forget to follow this channel. Is anything else, DDP?
Nah, man, that's the run sheet. Let's bring it home.
All right, so
it's 11 over there. It's 12 over here.
Yeah, man, it's late, but I'm a late long wolf. But let me tell you guys, in closing, what are your thoughts before we leave on everything about this Cowboys? Just give me like two sentences or whatever, you know. DDP, go first.
Good start. Let's get better.
Big Game James, what's up?
You gave me 2 sentences on the fly, so I pulled what I could.
That's a good start. Hey, let's get this thing better. Big Game, what's up?
Yeah, get all the players you want, but if that top staff coaching don't do anything, don't mean crap.
Yes, indeed. And also with that, DDP, where can they find the content? Where can they look up the Dallas Prospect? Where can they find you at?
You can find us on the DallasProspect.com. On social media, you can find us on our YouTube channel, The Dallas Prospects. We're also on Facebook. Don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe. We're putting out new content and pushing every day. I know we had a video earlier this week that blew up a little bit, and that was kind of cool. So yeah, we're your home for everything Dallas sports, and we'll give pop culture stuff as well.
And don't forget to leave a review, because we got to have these reviews here, right?
Yeah, please.
And nothing but 5s.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's
yeah. Leave a 5 if you got a 4. Just send me a message and tell me it's a 4.
Send a message. Yeah, don't put no 4.
All right. Big Game James, where can they find you at?
You can find us everywhere. You'll find mostly my page, Big Game James page on Facebook. I haven't leaked out to the other things because I ain't really trying to do all that right now. But you can definitely check out Silver and Blue Nation. We everywhere. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. Our YouTube channel, Silver and Blue Nation. And, you know, we're just out there trying to grow. And, you know, like I said, we got the big collab. I also do some writings for Dallas. And I got another one ready to come up because I need to have it. But just Dallas Prospect, Law Nation, Silver and Blue Nation, Big Game James. It's just been a lovely thing. And people really need to stay in tune because we are doing and working on new product things every single day, and y'all going to be excited what we're going to be bringing to the table in the near future. Stay tuned because it's always growing. It's going to keep growing, and it's never going to stop.
Yes, indeed. And how dare you, man? How dare you leave out the best? And I'm talking
Producer
about the
G.
baddest. Yes, I'm talking about the baddest. Go ahead and put Producer G on the map. Tell them about Producer G. Just tell them about it. I know we got to go home and go to bed and all this stuff, but just talk about Producer G for at least a couple seconds.
The man. He's the one that really, I call him Voltron. He's the head. He's the one that's created this. He's always on the grind. And you see the content on Silver and Blue Nation. That man he's not just doing that EBSN online. When you check us out on every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, go on EBSN. He's doing all those shows. He's doing all them networks. There's like 8 or 9 shows. Producer G is running all them shows. That boy is the man. That's why we mess with each other, and that's my dog for life.
That's my dog too as well. So as we grind together, as we start talking, I want you guys to sway with me right now.
I'm swaying.
I want to tell you guys right now.
I'm swaying.
You guys already know where I'm at. Follow me.
You already know. 20K. 20K in the house. Big dog. 20K.
Shot. Oh man,
you need to take a big shot. Where that shot at? You need to be taking a shot right now for that drink, man. You need to be taking a shot for that drink for that 20K.
This message is brought to you by Hennessy VSOP. But I'm gonna tell you guys right now. I know the kids should be going to bed by now, so shoot. I'm gonna throw this out there.
Take that victory drink.
Mama, if you see this late at night, Mama, I love you, but you know I take the hand out all the time. But I want to tell you guys, please, follow me on Twitter at Laws. Put the S at the end of Laws Nation. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Facebook. I'm always grinding. I'm always trying to figure out something.
Always on
to talk
grind.
about the Cowboys.
Always check the videos
out. I
love
the Cowboys so much. I cry when I lose. I ain't scared to say it. I cry when we lose. I punch holes in walls. I tear up some stuff. Hey, shout out to this apartment complex somewhere in 2007. I punch all type of holes in it. I'll pay you guys later whenever I make it big. But this is the thing is right now. We'll catch you on the rebound. But you guys know where I'm at. And then please, I'm telling you guys right now, Follow DDP's page and follow Silver and Blue Nation.
It's me.
Hey, I want
It's
them to
me.
get to
It's
1,000 on YouTube by
DDP.
OTAs, and I'm putting the pressure on you guys.
Woo,
We
wee,
can do this
pressure.
thing, man,
We got it, we
because
got it.
there's no way in life you guys follow me and not follow them. And hey,
like
shout out
that.
to Vosh Lombardi. I see you out there in the chat box, but yeah, always on the ones and twos, man. We're gonna grow this thing,
Bosh
man.
got great stuff, man.
Yes, indeed.
I checked out a lot of stuff. I love how he brings a whole different style when he breaks down his videos. But the man knows what he's talking about. Much respect from me to Vosh Lombardi for everything that he does out there. He got some good stuff, man. For real, his breakdowns is nice.
Yes, indeed. And remember, guys, you're listening to nothing but the best. Salute. We're out.
Peace.
Peace.